The sun sets over Oak Ridge Estates, washing the pristine sidewalks in a warm golden hue. This neighborhood was supposed to be my sanctuary, quiet, respectable, the kind of place where people nod politely but keep to themselves. It wasn't my dream home, but after years of prosecuting criminals, I figured I'd earned a little peace. I step out of my car, a sleek black sedan with government plates, and breathe in the crisp evening air. The smell of freshly cut grass and barbecue drifts from a few houses down. Typical suburbia. A far cry from the high-stakes courtroom battles I fight daily, but I don't mind. Here, I'm not Eric Lawson, federal prosecutor. I'm just another homeowner. Or so I thought. As I grab my briefcase from the passenger seat, I spot him, a middle-aged man in a golf shirt, standing across the street, arms folded like he owns the place. His eyes linger on me a little too long. I recognize that look. Not curiosity. Not neighborly interest. Something else. Something I've seen too many times in my line of work. Entitlement. I give him a polite nod. He doesn't return it. Instead, he watches as I walk up my driveway, fingers tapping against his forearm like he's making mental notes. I ignore it. For now. Inside, I loosen my tie, shrug off my blazer, and sink onto the couch. The silence is welcome, a stark contrast to the chaos of my job. My phone buzzes. A message from my assistant. Case updates ready for review. Also, your new neighbors filed another HOA complaint against you. Something about your car. I frown. Again? Ever since I moved in, the Oak Ridge Estates Homeowners Association has been relentless. First, it was my front door color. Apparently, navy blue was not within the approved palette. Then, it was my garbage cans being an inch too close to the curb. Now my car? I glance out the window at my sedan. It's clean, parked neatly in my driveway, not blocking a thing. But I already know what this is really about. A black man in a high-end neighborhood. A government-issued vehicle with tinted windows. I don't look like their idea of a proper resident. Still, I play along. I draft a formal response, citing HOA bylaws that allow personal vehicles in driveways. Nothing they can do. But deep down, I know this won't be the last complaint. And I'm right, because this isn't just about rules. It's about control. And they're about to take things way too far. The complaints keep coming. A week after the last one, I get another notice from the Oak Ridge Estates Homeowners Association. This time, they claim my car is an eyesore that disrupts the neighborhood's aesthetic. I almost laugh at the absurdity. My black government sedan is cleaner and newer than half the SUVs parked in these driveways. But I know the real issue. It's not the car. It's me. I step outside, scanning the street. That same middle-aged man, the one who stared me down my first night here, is chatting with a small group of neighbors near the cul-de-sac. Khaki shorts, polo shirt, the embodiment of smug suburban authority. He sees me, says something to the others, and they all turn to look. I keep my face neutral, but inside I feel it. That shift in the air. That quiet hostility dressed up as neighborhood concern. I walk to my mailbox, pretending not to notice as their voices lower. I hear snippets anyway. Doesn't fit in. Government car, probably surveilling us. He's just looking for trouble. I grip the stack of mail a little tighter. This isn't paranoia. This is how it starts. The whisper campaign. The quiet alienation. The carefully disguised racism, wrapped in the language of HOA bylaws and community standards. I won cases against people like this for a living. I know exactly what they're doing. Still, I keep my cool. I've spent my career in courtrooms, staring down criminals and corrupt officials. A few nosy neighbors and their power-tripping HOA president aren't enough to rattle me. But then, things escalate. 2 nights later, I wake up to the sound of gravel crunching outside. Footsteps. I sit up, heart pounding, and glance at the clock. 2:14 a.m. Silently, I move to the window, parting the blinds just enough to see. A figure stands in my driveway. For a split second, I think it's a burglar until I notice the clipboard. My pulse slows, but only slightly. What the hell is the HOA doing outside my house at this hour? The porch light flickers on automatically, revealing the same man from before. His name clicks into place. Grant Wilkins, HOA president. And he's taking pictures of my car. I throw on a hoodie and step outside. He startles, but quickly regains his composure. Can I help you? I ask, voice steady. Wilkins smiles, but it's the kind that doesn't reach his eyes. Just performing a routine assessment. HOA regulations, you understand. I glance at his clipboard. No official documents. No forms. Just him, in the middle of the night, taking pictures like he's building a case against me. I take a step closer. Routine assessments usually happen in daylight. His jaw tightens. You should be careful where you park, he says, tone laced with warning. Wouldn't want any accidents. And just like that, I know this isn't just about my car anymore. Something bigger is coming. I don't scare easily. I've put murderers, corrupt politicians, and organized criminals behind bars. But something about Grant Wilkins' smug little smirk as he warned me about accidents sent a chill down my spine. This wasn't just pettiness anymore. It was a threat. And I don't ignore threats. The next morning, I take action. I send a formal cease and desist letter to the HOA, citing harassment and invasion of privacy. It's worded carefully, professional, direct, and legally airtight. I want them to know I'm watching. But Wilkins? He doesn't back down. Instead, he escalates. That afternoon, I get an email from the HOA with a final warning about my car. Apparently, overnight inspections found that my commercial vehicle violated regulations, despite me proving it was a personal vehicle. The kicker? They now claim my car is a fire hazard. A fire hazard. I stare at the screen, jaw tightening. They aren't even pretending to play fair anymore. I step outside, scanning the neighborhood. Several residents are in their yards, chatting or watering their plants. I see Mrs. Patel, my next-door neighbor, frowning as she reads a notice from the HOA. She catches my eye and walks over. They fined me for my garden fence, she mutters. They never cared before. I exhale slowly. Let me guess, Wilkins? She nods, lowering her voice. Ever since you moved in, they've been cracking down on everyone. It's like they want us to turn against you. I already suspected as much, but hearing it confirmed stokes something hot in my chest. This isn't just about me. Wilkins is weaponizing the HOA against anyone who won't fall in line. I need evidence. That night, I install a security camera above my garage, angled toward my driveway. If Wilkins or anyone else tries something, I'll have proof. And just in time, the next attack. 2 nights later, I wake to my alarm blaring. Motion detected. I jolt upright, grab my phone, and check the feed. A shadowy figure stands near my car, holding something. A flicker. A small, controlled flame. Lighter fluid. My blood runs cold. Before I can think, I'm moving, grabbing my phone, rushing outside. The second my front door swings open, the figure takes off. But I already know who it is. Wilkins. I chase after him, heart hammering. He's fast for a middle-aged man, but I've spent years tracking fugitives. I close the distance quickly. Wilkins. I bark. Drop it. He whirls around, panting, but his face is calm. Too calm. Like he knows something I don't. What are you doing outside at this hour, Mr. Lawson? His voice is smooth, unbothered. Chasing your own paranoia? I glance at his hand. Empty. No lighter. No evidence. I grind my teeth. He ditched it. You were about to set my car on fire. Wilkins chuckles. That's a serious accusation. You sure you're not just seeing things? I step closer, my pulse hammering in my ears. I have security cameras now. I saw you. For the first time, his expression flickers. But then, he smirks. Well, he says, voice dripping with mock sympathy, if I were you, I'd be careful with those cameras. HOA regulations prohibit unsightly surveillance equipment. Wouldn't want to violate the rules. He's trying to push me, but I don't blink. You think you can burn me out of this neighborhood? I ask, my voice steady. You think I'm some pushover? Wilkins leans in slightly, his breath reeking of arrogance. I think you're alone, Lawson. His words land like a slap. And I realize this is how they win. They isolate people. They make them feel like no one will believe them. Except this time, they picked the wrong target.
Time to fight back.
I spend the next day compiling my evidence. I pull security footage, document every false complaint, every fine, every time Wilkins or the HOA overstepped their authority. Then I call in a favor. My friend Detective Mark Hensley owes me one from a big case last year. He agrees to take a look. An hour later, he calls back. Lawson, you're not gonna like this. What? He exhales. Wilkins has connections. The HOA is just the tip of the iceberg. But if he tried to torch your car? He pauses. That means he's getting desperate. And desperate men make mistakes. I tighten my grip on my phone. Wilkins thinks he's untouchable. Time to prove him wrong. The next HOA meeting is held in the Oak Ridge Estates Clubhouse, a pristine white building that looks more like a country club than a community space. Wilkins made sure of that. Everything here is about control, status, and keeping the wrong people out. Tonight, I'm done playing nice. The room is packed with homeowners, their faces a mix of curiosity and mild irritation. These meetings are usually about landscaping regulations and noise complaints, but tonight, there's a buzz in the air. They know something's coming. Wilkins stands at the front, dressed in his usual golf attire, looking every bit the smug, self-important HOA president. He's already smirking, already gloating.
He thinks he's won.
Mr. Lawson, he says as I take my seat near the front. His voice carries just enough condescension to set my teeth on edge. I see you're joining us tonight. Perhaps you'd like to finally address the many concerns your presence has raised. A few chuckles ripple through the crowd. Some of these people have been eating up every complaint Wilkins has thrown my way. I smile. Actually, yes. I do have a few concerns of my own. Wilkins barely conceals his grin. By all means. He gestures toward the microphone, feigning generosity. You have 2 minutes. I take my time walking up, surveying the room. I want them to feel the tension. I place a small USB drive on the podium. Before I start, I'd like to share something with the community. I turn to the projector screen behind Wilkins. Mark, my detective friend, had no trouble getting me what I needed, a clean, enhanced version of my security footage. I hit play. The room falls into stunned silence as Grant Wilkins appears on screen, standing in my driveway at 2:14 a.m., holding a lighter. A very recognizable flame flickers in his hand as he steps toward my car. The quality is crystal clear. There's no denying what he's doing. Gasps ripple through the crowd. A few people murmur in disbelief. I don't look at Wilkins, not yet. I let the weight of the footage settle. Then, I turn to him. Tell me, Mr. Wilkins, I say, keeping my voice calm, controlled. Would you care to explain why the president of the HOA was caught trying to set fire to my car? Wilkins' face drains of color. He wasn't expecting this. He recovers quickly, forcing out a laugh. This is ridiculous. That footage is doctored. I hold up a printed report from the fire department. There were traces of accelerant found near my car. And funny enough, after you ran away that night, my friend Detective Mark Hensley took a little walk around the area. I pull out another photo. The lighter. Found this in the storm drain down the street, I say. Guess whose fingerprints are all over it? Wilkins opens his mouth, but no words come out. Now, I step closer. You thought you could get rid of me, I say, lowering my voice just enough so only he can hear. You thought you could push me out like you've done to others. But you made a mistake, Wilkins. You messed with the wrong man. I turn back to the crowd. This isn't just about my car, I say. This is about power. It's about how Wilkins and his little HOA clique have been weaponizing rules to push out people who don't fit their idea of this neighborhood. I glance at Mrs. Patel, who nods slightly. He's fined families unfairly. He's targeted homeowners he doesn't like. And now, he's committed a crime to try and intimidate me. Silence. Then, a single voice speaks up. He did the same thing to me, someone mutters. I look over and see an older black couple. The woman grips her husband's arm tightly, her eyes full of recognition. She knows. More murmurs spread through the room. People are putting the pieces together. Wilkins' arrogance turns to panic. Now hold on, he stammers. This is an attack on my character. This is. I step back from the microphone. Let's let the law decide that. I say simply. Right on cue, the clubhouse doors open. Two uniformed officers step inside. Wilkins spins around, his face a mask of disbelief. You can't be serious. One of the officers pulls out a warrant. Grant Wilkins, you're under arrest for attempted arson and harassment. A collective gasp. Wilkins stumbles back. No, this isn't happening. The officers cuff him, ignoring his protests. I watch, expression unreadable, as Wilkins is led past me. His eyes burn with humiliation. He thought he was untouchable. I lean in one last time. I told you to be careful. He snarls, but he's out of options. As the doors close behind him, the room erupts. Some in shock, others in relief. I exhale slowly. Justice is served. Wilkins is still shouting as the officers haul him toward the door, his voice cracking under the weight of his unraveling world. This is a setup, he bellows, twisting in their grip. You people don't understand. I was protecting this neighborhood. His words hang in the air, heavy and desperate. He searches the crowd, pleading for support. But something has shifted. The neighbors, his loyal followers, aren't rushing to his defense. They're whispering, shaking their heads. The illusion of power is gone. I fold my arms, watching as he flounders, sputters, fights against the inevitable. This is illegal, he shrieks, twisting toward me now, his face red with fury. You think you've won, but you have no idea who you're messing with. I let the words settle before I speak.
Cool.
Controlled. Final. Oh, I know exactly who I'm messing with, I say, stepping forward, my eyes locked on his. A desperate little man who thought he could bully and intimidate his way into power. But here's the thing, Wilkins, you got sloppy. The murmurs in the crowd grow louder. More people are stepping forward. Mrs. Patel clears her throat. Grant fined me for my fence, but look at the Petersons, they have the same fence, and he never said a word. The Petersons, an older white couple, shift uncomfortably. They know she's right. Another voice chimes in. He rejected my paint color 3 times, but the Walkers used the exact same shade, and he approved it instantly. More whispers. Then a woman stands, the same one who muttered about Wilkins earlier. My husband and we thought we were just being paranoid. But Wilkins kept issuing us warnings for things no one else got fined for. She swallows hard, then looks at me. We wanted to fight back, but we didn't think anyone would believe us. I nod. That's how bullies like Wilkins operate. They isolate you, make you feel like it's just you. But look around. I sweep my gaze over the crowd. It was never just you. The weight of my words lands. People exchange glances. Understanding clicks into place. Wilkins, for the first time, looks afraid. This is slander, he roars, voice cracking. You're all just jealous. I built this community. I made it what it is. I arch a brow. You mean you controlled it? A new voice cuts through the air.
No.
He means he stole from it. Detective Mark Hensley steps forward, his badge gleaming under the fluorescent lights. The crowd goes silent. Wilkins freezes. You have nothing on me. Hensley pulls out a manila folder. Oh, I'd say we have plenty. He opens it, revealing bank statements, fraudulent invoices, and falsified expense reports. I smirk. Did you really think no one would notice you using HOA funds to pay for your country club membership? Or those community improvement projects that just happened to be at your house? Wilkins goes pale. I keep going. Turns out, you've been bleeding this HOA dry for years. Faking violations, pocketing fees, funneling money into your own accounts. And thanks to Detective Hensley here, we've got all the receipts. A few homeowners gasp. Others curse under their breath. Wilkins loses it. This is a witch hunt, he shrieks, jerking against the officer's grip. These are lies. I demand a lawyer. I'll sue every single one of you for defamation. Hensley sighs, flipping the folder shut. You're gonna need a damn good lawyer, Wilkins, because as of right now, you're being charged with attempted arson, harassment, and fraud. Silence. Then the first phone comes out. Then another. People are recording, capturing this moment. Wilkins sees it too. His panic morphs into horror. He knows. This is going viral. The entire neighborhood is watching him fall. I step closer, lowering my voice just enough for him to hear. You tried to burn me out of this neighborhood. I say, my tone even. Looks like you're the one who's getting burned. His face contorts with rage. But he's finished. The officers drag him out, his shouts fading as they haul him to the squad car. And just like that, Wilkins is gone. The fallout. The room is a powder keg of emotions. Some people are still reeling. Others are furious. Mrs. Patel turns to me. What happens now? I glance at the HOA board members, most of whom look like they want to disappear. Well, I say, slipping my hands in my pockets. The board's gonna need a new president. Someone snorts. Yeah, preferably one that doesn't try to burn down his neighbor's car. A laugh spreads through the room. The tension starts to break. But there's still work to do. Over the next few weeks, everything unravels. Wilkins is formally charged with multiple counts of fraud and embezzlement. The HOA board dissolves under pressure, replaced by a new, fair committee. And best of all, the ridiculous fines, the selective enforcement, the harassment?
Gone.
For the first time in years, the neighborhood actually feels like a community again. One afternoon, as I'm pulling into my driveway, Mrs. Patel waves from next door. Feels different, doesn't it? She says. I smile.
Yeah.
It does. I glance at my car, completely untouched. Justice was served. And this time, the right person got burned. 3 weeks later, Wilkins' face is all over the news. The headlines are brutal. HOA president arrested for fraud and arson attempt. Disgraced HOA leader caught embezzling thousands from homeowners. The mugshot they chose?
Perfect.
His face is swollen with anger, his arrogance completely wiped away. I sip my coffee, watching the news report with quiet satisfaction. Justice. The trial moves fast. Too much evidence. Too many witnesses. Wilkins pleads not guilty at first, but the mountain of financial records, security footage, and homeowner testimonies crushes him. By the time the verdict is handed down, he looks like a ghost of himself. Guilty on all counts. Sentenced to 8 years in prison. Public humiliation and financial ruin. The once powerful man who ruled the neighborhood with an iron fist is now just another inmate. His assets?
Seized.
The HOA sues him for misuse of funds, and his own neighbors, some of whom once defended him, line up to take legal action. His wife leaves him. His country club membership is revoked. His house? Repossessed. The man who spent years controlling others has lost everything. And no one, not a single person, comes to his defense. The neighborhood rebuilds. With Wilkins gone, change sweeps through the community like fresh air. The ridiculous fines are reversed. The biased restrictions are removed. A new HOA board, fair, diverse, and accountable, is elected. For the first time in years, people actually want to attend meetings. Homeowners come together, talking, laughing, helping each other. One afternoon, as I'm walking to my car, I see Mrs. Patel planting flowers by her fence, the same fence Wilkins fined her for. She smiles. No one's stopping me now. I chuckle. No, they're not. Across the street, the Johnsons, a young black couple Wilkins always harassed, are repainting their home without fear of another violation notice. Mr. Peterson, an older white man who once defended Wilkins, steps over and offers them a hand. Bridges are being rebuilt. People who once stayed silent are waking up. They see now what was happening right in front of them, and they're choosing to do better. A final moment of reflection. Late one evening, as I stand in my driveway, I look at the spot where my burned car once sat. The pavement is clean now, the damage erased. But I remember how it felt being targeted, being dismissed, being told I didn't belong. And I remember fighting back. Wilkins thought he could silence me. Instead, he destroyed himself. I exhale, feeling the weight of it all finally lift. This is my home. And now it actually feels like one. Justice was served. And this time, it burned exactly where it was needed.